Hello, a Rosie math teacher coming at you from my 4th period accelerated 7th grade math class. We are doing lesson 8-4, non-integer solutions. In the textbook, it is page 83. Everyone in this room, I would like you to think about first what we know integers are. Is this an integer, the whole number 1? Yes. Is this an integer, a negative 1? Yes. Integers include all whole numbers, as well as that whole number with a negative sign in front of it. Do we understand integers? Yes. Okay, so for example, would 2/3 be considered an integer? No, it is a rational number, can be expressed as a ratio, but it is a non-integer. Now do you understand the reasoning for the title non-integer solutions? So today, your solutions of x comma y are not going to conveniently land on a whole number or on a negative with a whole number following it. Do we understand so far? Okay, now that we understand what non-integers are, and guys, just smush that together with what we've learned about finding solutions and you are good to go. Let's start number 1 together. You are going to solve this system of equations by graphing and then approximate the solution to the nearest what? 10th. It won't be as hard as it looks at first. Here we go, number 1. Y equals 1/3 x minus 2. Now class, if your equation is already conveniently in the form of y equals mx plus b, you're all set for graphing it. If it is not, you can remove your x values from the left and do the opposite operation to get them over to the right. Do you all realize that? You always want to get y by itself when you're being told to graph an equation. So, but in this case, you are lucky today. Please circle the y-intercept in the first equation that you see. I'm going to write it larger for the TV camera. Y equals 1/3 x minus 2. This student over here, tell me what you circled as the y-intercept. -2. Wave if you also circled -2. Excellent. Now please plot -2 as your y-intercept. Did your point land the same as mine? 2 down from the x-axis. Next step. Oh my, we have a slope of 1/3 in front of our x value. Now we have 2 options here. I'm going to quickly show you one option, but then I'm going to use a different way. It is possible for you to just use the slope of 1/3 from the plotted point you've already done. What would the rise over run be for 1/3? You could go up 1 over 3 and plot your new point. So some people might prefer that. It is pretty quick and easy, but I have already discovered that there are students who are getting confused when using that method. So I also want you all to know how to do this other method, and you may pick whichever one works better for you, but for the remainder of class today, we're going to use the other method. All right, so let's look at first of all, the first equation. We have already plotted the y-intercept. We are now going to plot a possible ordered pair for x comma y. Class, what order does an ordered pair always come in? X comma y, exactly. Now, does anyone remember that when our slope or our value of m is a fraction, do I use the denominator piece or the numerator piece as my possible value for x? Denominator piece. One person knew. Yay! They're listening. Or at least he is. Thank you, sir. Okay, so in place of x, class, what number shall we write? 3. So I am going to put a 3 here as the ordered pair that I am about to find the other piece of. So please, over to the side, go ahead and write your parentheses with a 3 as the first piece of your ordered pair. Then use in a moment, not right now, but in a moment, you'll be using your online calculator. So on your online calculator, you would want to find this missing value of y. So you would type into your online calculator what value for m, 1/3, what value you've chosen for x, 3. Times 3, and then what value for the y-intercept? -2. Excellent. Guys, I can't say this strongly enough. In a moment, if we had the calculators out, and you will in a moment, you would literally type all of this into your calculator. please don't try to do it mentally like we're going to right now, because I have kids that are just making silly mistakes and you don't need to. Let's do 1/3 times 3. What is 1/3 times 3?
3.
It is 1. Guys, if you have a pie split into thirds and you have 1/3 times 3, don't you have 3/3? Therefore, 1 whole. Okay, so 1 whole take away 2. So what is the value of my y? It is -1. Class, if you had a number line, here's a 0, here's a 1, 1, 2 steps back for -2. Do you agree it does land on -1? Okay. Any questions so far about what I have done or why? Okay. So now that you realize your ordered pair ended up being what value for the x? That is not what we wrote. Class, please look at what you wrote. What was your value for x in the new ordered pair?
3.
I appreciate that. What was your value for y?
-1.
Correct. Please plot that ordered pair on your grid now. You already plotted your y-intercept. Now you are going to plot the value for x you have chosen with the coordinating value for y that you got when you entered that equation in your calculator, yes? So you're going to go across to the right from the point of origin. How many?
3.
3. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to go what direction?
Down.
Down. How many spaces?
1.
1 space. Class, do you understand how you should have plotted 3, -1? And then draw as straight of a line through those two as you can. It's okay if it's not perfect. We just want to get close. All right. Now that you have plotted that equation, I want you to plot your second equation. Let me make some workspace for myself here. And this time we're going to do y equals -2x plus 1. Again, what is your y-intercept? Say it loudly, please. 1. So plot a +1 on the y-axis. Like so. Does yours agree with my blue dot? Excellent. Now, in order to find out where else we might place a plotted point, because class, how many plotted points do we need to create one graphed line?
2.
2. We only need 2, and then we're good to go. Now, what do I always tell you? To just be a little bit smart/lazy, to use in place of x. If it's not a fraction, just use a 1. Wave at me if you just said 1. Beautifully done, guys. All right, so what am I now copying down below? Box equaling what?
1.
Negative. I've got to copy my m value.
2.
-2 times what?
1.
Times 1, because we agreed, plus 1. So go ahead and begin writing your new ordered pair for this equation. What is the first piece of your new ordered pair? Please read what you put in place of x. 1. Do you guys understand why it needs to be the value of the x? Because all ordered pairs go x, comma, y. Then you would enter into your calculator -2 times 1 plus 1. Do you realize you would enter the whole thing? -2 times 1 plus 1. All right, but we're going to do this one mentally. What is -2 times 1?
2.
-2, guys. Negative times positive is negative. And also this. Oh, please, guys. The multiplication identity property of 1. Anything that gets multiplied by 1 is that thing. Okay, here we go. So -2 multiplied by 1 is still -2. And then don't forget plus 1. Now, guys, if I were on a number line, here is 0, here's -2, and I add 1. What will I land on? -1. So what amount is my y value? -1. So what is the ordered pair I will now plot on the grid? 1, comma, -1. How do I do 1? I go across to the what? Right, from point of origin. How many spaces? 1. So here I go 1. And then for -1 on the y value, I go what direction?
Down.
On the y value, I go what direction? Down. How many spaces?
1.
Also 1. It's 1, comma, -1. I heard somebody say 2. I don't know if we're trying to be funny, but do we get that we go across 1 for the x value and down 1 for the y value of -1? Are we good? Okay. So down 1 for the y value of -1. Plotted point there, and then I'm going to erase my lines. Those are not part of my grid. And then what will I do with my 2 plotted points? I will connect them with as straight of a line as I possibly can. Now, here's what today's lesson is all about. Do you notice that the point where these 2 graphed lines intersect is not conveniently landing on a whole value of x or a whole value of y, or even a negative number, whole number? So it's a non-integer solution, isn't it? But can we use what we know about grids to determine approximately where this plotted point would be? And I'm plotting it now in blue right here. Can we figure out approximately? Yes. Let's begin trying to name this latest plotted point. It's the one that I am drawing circles around right now. Do you all understand why I'm choosing this point? Okay. It's not a point you will need to plot on your online homework, but you will need to look at it and figure out about where is that ordered pair going to land. So let's count for the x values using my disappearing ink. I start at point of origin. I go across 1. Should I go a little farther? Should I go all the way to 2? No. So it's going to be 1 point something, isn't it? Okay? So I'm going to go 1 point. I don't think it goes quite halfway. Do you guys think it does? I'll move out of the way. Apparently I'm in the way. Okay? So make sure. Now, guys, honestly, they're not going to be super picky because they're giving you options online. So it's okay if you're feeling like it's, I'll just be honest. I don't think, as far as this goes and this lines up, I don't think it quite goes halfway. Okay, so for sake of the example, and because I've already peeked ahead at the multiple choice options, the option that is closest to this they give you is 1.3. It's also partly because on our grid, we don't have the tool that the digital one online is, so it's not perfect. I promise you 1.3 is your best friend right now. All right, let's go down from where, on the y-axis, from point of origin, until we think we're approximately across from this item. Oh, now, do you agree it goes slightly more than halfway beyond -1? Yes. What do you think it might be? -1 point what? Who said -1.6? Woohoo! All right, so here's what's going to happen. Thankfully, online, they keep giving you options. So simply pick the option that is the closest to what you believed it to be based on what you did on the graph. Do you all understand that? I do want to give you a few reminders because I already know where kids are going to struggle. Some kids were struggling with number 5, so I want to talk about number 5. The equations in the table represent amount of money that 2 different painting companies charge per hour plus the cost of painting supplies. In the equations, X represents the number of what, class? Hours. And Y represents the what? Total cost. After how many hours, so what variable do they want you to figure out? Hours. What was the variable for hours? It was X. Good. So they want you to find the actual value of X, don't they? Because they want to know how many hours. All right, now let's look at this. Here's your clue. After how many hours will the costs be the same? What variable is marking the costs? Y. So they want to know when the first Y will equal the second Y. Are you following the thought process there? They want to know when this Y will have the same value as this Y. So watch the TV screen. If at some point this Y will have the same value as this Y, then at that very same point, since this Y equals this expression, and this y equals this expression, we want to know the point at which this expression equals this expression. So please rewrite those now. Literally make yourself write. Say it as we go. 25x. Please read. You guys can read. Plus 200 equals, great job. Good. Plus what? 150. Now I'm not going to show you how to solve this, but I'm going to talk you through it right now. You are going to end up, first of all, did I copy this correctly? I see some people laughing. I hope if I make a mistake, you would let me know instead of just laughing. Okay. So when you solve this, what do you realize you're going to need to remove from one of the sides? The x values. So you're going to do minus 25x minus 25x, leaving you with 20 equals a certain value of x plus 150. Oh, at that point, isn't that a two-step equation that you can then solve and find the number of hours?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to understand that, and they will expect you to know how to graph that. There's one other item where I know children were struggling with showing it online, and I'm not seeing the other item right now. I believe it was number 7. All I'm going to tell you is this. When you get to the item where the grid, actually, I think it was number 4, where the grid is not large enough for the need that you have, whichever grid that was, here's what you do. Online, you tap Control minus, or you tap the zoom out thing. It's a picture of a magnifying glass with a little minus in it. When you tap that enough times, your grid will go from 5 pieces tall to 10 pieces tall. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, there's an item where you will need to do that. I wish you all well. Please begin online right now.